If you're ready to take your game to the next level, trust the guys with over 20 PBA Tour titles and RT Tour experience to improve your game. Ball layouts for the best feel and to maximize your game. The top names in bowling: Motive, Brunswick, Hammer, Radical, Storm, Roto Grip, and more in stock. Get tips and lessons from PBA stars Mike Devaney and Ronnie Russell. When you're ready to invest in your bowling game, go to RT Tour Experience with 2 locations, inside Pinheads and Fishers and All-Star Bowl in Indianapolis.
20-minute videos, but still get to see what the bowling ball does. So see if we can't finish off this first 10 frames with the Fireball with a nice 300. If it does, I might reward myself. Close. Doesn't get any better than that. So there you go, HK base, Fireball, lower mid price, more performance. Be able to check out your local pro shop, go and get one. Bolt to win.
Introducing the most innovative plant-based cleaner to hit the bowling world. The Hammer Clear Magic Bowling Ball Cleaner. The first and only bowling ball cleaner to come to you in a convenient dissolvable sheet. This plant-based ball cleaner will give you amazing cleaning power without harming the environment. Clear Magic is super easy to use. Dissolve 1 sheet completely in a bottle of room temperature water and your cleaner is ready. This product is sold as a starter kit, which comes with a 7-ounce foaming bottle and 1 sheet of cleaner. Clear Magic Bowling Ball Cleaner is great for removing oil and belt marks from the surface of the ball. Refills are sold in 3-sheet resealable packs and can be purchased from your local pro shop. Clear Magic is USBC approved for before and after competition. Talk to your local pro shop for more information on how to pick up some planet-friendly Clear Magic today.
Hey, what's up, buddy? Way to sneak in there. Bubble boy. You still shot 170 or whatever that was?
I kind of know I'm plus 9.
Yeah.
I missed one, I make another, and then
Those are hard to shoot.
you start getting this is not happening. You know, so.
Did that last year.
All right, good morning, everyone. Scott Gilmore, Mike Albee here in the broadcast booth here on Savage Bowling TV. We're in Anderson, Indiana, championship lanes for the Indiana Masters semifinal round. Seeds 17 through 48 this morning, bowling 2 games. Pins carried over. The top 16 from this will be seeded 17 through 32 in our double elimination match play portion of the event. Good morning. And thank you for taking some time to watch all of the action here on Savage Bowling TV. And before we came on the air, Mike, Jeff Circle, the tournament director, had made an announcement that 17th through 48 separated by just 28 pins.
Yeah, you know, I was looking at the scores after last night, and it was like, wow, you could put your palm out on that score sheet and cover them all. And even the top, you know, it's close as well. So very important spare making today, and a split or a missed spare here or there could be costly. Pin count, that fill ball in the 10th frame. There's a lot of ways you can find those pins.
Well, and amazing amount of closeness even into the top 16. The top 16 seeds from yesterday's qualifying automatically advanced into the match play portion. Nobody beat Zach Weidman's score in the A squad yesterday morning. He shot 685, and no one was able to surpass that. Scoring was very tough. Spares were a premium. And here's the thing. People talk about making them hard, making them easy. When you make them like this, it's just one pin per position. It seems like the scoring is so much tighter. The field is so much more bunched up. And
yeah, and you got to feel confident you've got a chance. I mean, when they're that close, there's a lot of pressure, but at least you know that if you make good shots and you make your spares, you're going to be close in this one. And that's what it takes, just to be close, because as you know, in those, once you get to the match play part, you know there's going to be breaks. You know there's going to be good breaks and bad breaks, so it's how well you can handle the next shot after you get that good break.
Well, before we get too far into this semifinal rounds broadcast, let's thank our sponsors who've made this broadcast possible. Brands of Brunswick for their latest releases and product information. Like them on Facebook at Brunswick Bowling, or go to brunswickbowling.com. Big Four Socks. Find your pair at a pro shop near you or at big4socks.com. And Mike Alby's Arrowhead Bowl. Bowling, games, billiards, birthday parties, corporate events, and more. What are you waiting for? Arrowheadbowl.com. Want to thank those sponsors for being a part of today's broadcast and all of our Indiana State USBC broadcasts. And if you're out and about in those areas where those sponsors are from, hey, please, we appreciate your support. And again, what an exciting day, weekend it's been. Long day yesterday. We were on the air for probably 14 hours yesterday.
Not for me. I slept in.
I know. You got away with it. I don't.
Yeah, you guys did an awesome job yesterday. Long day for you.
Obviously, Chad, we don't pay enough. But yeah, and this is, the guys that were trying to get away from this round, trying to get in that top 16. This is one of the most stressful 2 games you'll ever bowl because there's so much at stake.
Well, what's really stressful is you look at the guys who are in this squad who just missed yesterday. Just missed by, 1 pin or 2 pins?
Yeah.
There's like 1, 2, 3. There's about 10 people who missed by 10 pins or less. Yeah. And that you talk about sleeping on that one overnight, knowing you could have slept in and had already seated yourself in there, but now you got to bowl another block.
Well,
that's hard.
Yeah, and it could be just a culmination of 2 or 3 fill balls,
yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, you get like a 6-count washout. Instead of getting 3, you get 1. Or there's just so many things that you could go back as a player and think, man, if I would have just done that, I'm in.
Yeah, you got to keep your focus every shot until you're done. Yeah, that focus, like you said, especially the fill ball, that focus is so important.
And that's not just getting into this portion or the top 16. That's getting in just to the top 48. Yeah. It was tight as you go on down past
all
them.
The way.
Paying 88 spots, minus 32 cashed. Again, just another great weekend for the Indiana State USBC and the Indiana Masters.
Sold out. Yeah, sold out again. So great job, yeah.
Well, and what's happening now, it's selling out much quicker than it had in the past. Jeff Circle and his staff are coming in this weekend with the first 2 squads already sold out and the third one almost sold out. So you're at a point now where if you don't get in early, you might not get in at all. And one thing that I know you'll appreciate a lot, Mike, is going into the weekend. I talked to Jeff in the middle of the week, going into this weekend. I think it was on Wednesday or Thursday, he had 65 brand new bowlers already prepaid.
Wow, that's amazing.
65 brand new ones. And here's the other amazing thing that Kerry Kane shared with us yesterday. Out of the sold-out number of entries, there were 334 unique bowlers. 334 bowlers in the state of Indiana drive all the way here to Anderson, Indiana, from wherever they're from, and participate.
It's live and well, obviously. Yeah, that's exciting news, and another push like this the next time around, and that's when you start looking at, is there another round? You add another day? What do you do? Because if you're adding that many new players each time, I think Jeff might have just fell out of his chair if he's listening. But it's exciting, and the state of Indiana is in good hands with our USBC.
Well, and I believe Jeff told me yesterday that next year is the 25th anniversary of this event. So, hey, if you're out there watching or haven't bowled before, we could have some major announcements throughout the course of this calendar year about the 2025 Masters, Indiana Masters. So pay attention. 25th anniversary coming up. I'm sure they're going to have some big things in store. That's a great number to get to, right?
Yeah, very good. Yeah.
Not a lot of tournaments can
You're doing things right when you're able to get that far, for sure.
Absolutely. But think about the guys that are bowling in this squad right now, these 2 games. You have a past champion in Dwayne Burton, a great young talent in Ryan Spear, a past champion of the Scratch Classic, Trent Jarvis, Gene Perez, who's a past winner here, is bowling in this squad. Bailey Maverick is bowling in this squad. So a lot of Jimmy Cook, a lot of young and seasoned veterans, talented guys bowling in this squad, trying to get themselves into that top 32 of match play.
Well, and you look across the house so far, at least as far as we can see here, and this is the first game, so this is where all the bowlers here on this squad got practice. So, and you don't see anybody really running away with it. I mean, in front here, we've got the front three and then 6-1, 6-3. So it's not easy out there by any means. You got to be ready to adapt.
We're on the low end of the house. Championship pair will be 9 and 10. We're right in front of 7 and 8. And lanes 1 through 10 were very challenging yesterday. And Jeremy Adler was talking to me yesterday. He qualified in the 6th spot with the 640. But he averaged about 160 down here, and he bowled 2 squads. He said, I got to the middle game or one of my games that were down here in the low end, and I was averaging about low 160. Oh. He was averaging 225 plus down here on the high end. So this end of the house, a little more hook, gets tighter as you go. So this first 10 or 12 lanes proved to be a little bit challenging for the players. I'm sure one thing the guys like is 1 and 2 is not on in play.
Yeah,
this,
I think that's
this
usually
day.
In most places. Nobody wants to bowl on the end pairs. Yeah.
1 and 2 is very, very tricky.
A lot of it's psychological in respect.
I'll give you an example. Zach Newman, who's bowling in front of us here, starts in the middle of the house and then goes to the high end. He goes 230, 230. He's plus 70. He gets to 1 and 2, shoots 128.
Oh, my gosh.
So that just kind of gives you an idea of just how challenging some of these pairs are. But when you have a sold-out field, you have to use every pair.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's the unfortunate part of things. But, there also is going to be some pairs, as you know, Mike, in the middle of the house that are going to be just as tricky.
But, I mean, I think the biggest thing, too, is going to be the people you're following and what type of equipment they're using, where they're playing on the lane. All those things are factors, and they're unknown factors because you can't really see how it's affecting until you let your ball be your guide. So, and in a shorter format, a 3-game format especially, I mean, you can't sit there. We talked about this a little bit earlier this morning. You can't sit and wait if you need to make a ball change. You've got to be ready to make that move, and how you throw that ball each time, especially when you go to a new pair. You got to make good shots because that's what you make your adjustment off of. And if you don't make a good shot in that first frame, now all of a sudden the third frame is going to be the first shot on that lane that you're going to actually hopefully throw well and get an adjustment off of it if it needs to be. So very challenging, but like I said, a lot of it in bowling, obviously, we don't have, we can't see it, and you have to let your ball be your guide. So, and that's what's going on right now. All this practice, and I'm sure things are changing a bit for them as they get going. It's just who can make those adjustments, and actually, if you get a break, get something to put behind it. And
that was the key to yesterday. The pattern was so hard. You're not going to throw it perfect every time, but when you missed, could you get the break? And that was the key to how things went yesterday for a lot of guys. So if you're in the chat, thanks for joining us. Feel free to ask any questions. Mike has a lot of answers, but feel free to join us in the chat. Let us know where you're from, where you're watching from, who you're pulling for. We're going to try to move cameras around here every 3 or 4 frames or so bear with us there. We have cameras on 3, 4, 5, 6. You'll see a little bit of 7 and 8. We have them on the championship pair 9 and 10 and 13, 14, 15, 16. So we'll move them around as much as we can, but we thank you for watching, and we appreciate you playing along in our chat. And if you have any questions, again, feel free to ask us. But sit back. It's going to be a nice, fun day of bowling. And when we get done with this semifinal round, we'll have a break. We'll rerun the lanes, and then they'll have a player meeting. And probably sometime around noon, 12:15, we'll be into single game, double elimination matches.
That's where it gets down to the nitty-gritty there, bowling. You know what's in front of you at that point. You get to that match play, and it's just you and your opponent. So it becomes a little sometimes gamemanship, and other times it's just a matter of keeping your focus on what you can do and let your opponent try to get what you got.
Well, and if I'm bowling in this 2-game match, or these 2 games in this semifinal round, I'm thinking to myself, if I can shoot 410, we're just talking 410, I could be dead last going into this. I could be the 48th guy. If I shoot 410, I think I might have a really good chance of getting in. Because 48th was only minus 15.
Right.
I think minus 5 could be easily in the top 32. That's just how challenging they are.
Yeah, they are, and of course, first 2 games of the day. I mean, it's going to be both games are going to be a little bit of adjustment as they change.
And a lot of bowling coming up here on Savage Bowling TV. We're in this is kind of like the Daytona 500 of NASCAR for us. We start with the biggest event of the year, the Indiana Masters. We're going to be back in 2 weeks right here again, Mike, for the Indiana High School Bowling State Finals. You'll be joining us with that. We know how exciting that is. 2-day format this year. We'll be doing team event on Saturday the 17th and singles on Sunday the 18th. Then we'll be taking a little bit of a break, maybe a week or so, and we'll be back right here again March 2nd for the Indiana Queens. I know you won't be with us. You have some other things to do and some exciting things. You had made a comment, going to go watch Glenn Allison.
Yeah, gonna hopefully heading out to Las Vegas for the Open Championships. Glenn Allison is making a run at setting the all-time total pinfall record for the tournament. So looking forward to go out there and watching Glenn take care of that, and should be an exciting and historical day in our sport.
How many years does Glenn have in?
Boy, I don't know, but it's funny. I've watched somebody go over 100,000 pins. I watched Jamie Brooks a couple years ago go over 100,000 pins, and we all sat up in the stands trying to get our little phones out and calculate how many years. And it's like I got past whatever it was over 50 years and thought, okay, I'm out of that, so we're not going to be doing that. But yeah, it's an amazing feat to be able to do that, to bowl well enough and to bowl long enough.
Yeah, it's just 2 elements that go together that have to merge. That's just very hard to do.
Yeah.
It's bowling the longevity part of it, but it's bowling well every time you go.
And now too, I mean, the Open Championships are, they're predominantly Vegas, Reno, pretty much back and forth. I know Baton Rouge is coming up, but it used to be, it was different every year was totally different. You were jumping from East Coast to West Coast to Midwest to wherever. So it's really kind of cool to look back at the history of that, of where it all participated. Indianapolis held it in 36, I believe, 1936. 74 they had it. And then Fort Wayne had it in the 60s, I believe, as well. Back then the American Bowling Congress, tournament. So. Yeah, it's quite interesting where it's been and the history to it.
Well, that's one thing my dad always talked about, how it was fun back in the days where you would just go to little towns or smaller cities, Memphis, certain places like that, and you'd meet all kinds of neat people that lived locally. And now, obviously, we go to primarily 2 places, and then it's going to rotate periodically on a 3rd location. But you get used to those places like Vegas, the stadium, and you can kind of get it acclimated. It's a little more comfortable setting when you go there multiple times.
It looks like the 5-pin in front of us here, it was actually the 10. That was the 6-pin around the 10 wrapped, and it just slid across the lane and went almost to the 5 spot.
Boy.
Actually, it's pretty darn close to the 5. And he was sitting on 5 in a row.
Yeah, and
we talk about breaks. That's a really bad one.
Here's the thing,
lane 7. That's what we're talking about.
When sometimes you have a string going and you just get in a zone, right?
Yeah.
You get a situation like that, and then it's amazing how hard it is to strike again.
Yeah.
Because it just flushes you a little bit.
What an excellent shot, though. I mean, sitting on a 5-bagger. I mean, that's not what we're seeing out there at all. And to make a great shot like that, I mean. You don't see pins slide on the bottom like that. It's very, very rare.
And that far over.
That far. Yeah, exactly.
And that pin didn't even wiggle.
No,
it just slid and stopped.
Yeah, it's darn near the. It's probably sitting a little farther back than the 5, but it's pretty darn close.
And what's amazing is the 6-pin has to hit that pin just in the right spot.
Hold it.
Oh, and then you miss it. Oh my goodness! That's
where you get frustrated a bit, and you got to stay focused. But yeah, that's an unfortunate break for sure.
You know, and that's one where I'm not so sure, Mike, that you just don't walk away for just a minute or two, and then come back saying, okay, nothing you can do about that.
Yeah.
But boy,
it makes you want to kick a rack, probably for sure. But but the thing you dial back and take a deep breath, and the shots you were making were unbelievable.
And at that point in time, he was easily on his way to about a 230 game.
Oh, yeah. No, or more, yeah.
And, of course, he's near the bottom.
Well, near the bottom, but he's only 30 out.
Yeah, he's minus 11 coming into this.
Yeah, it's a huge break. Poor break, that is.
But you just had to be in a situation where, regardless, you can't miss it on the back. You have to.
Well, and you got to look at it too, because it really wasn't the 5. It was probably a little to the right and back a little bit. So, I mean, that all played into where that ball went. But it just, there's an easy way to miss to the right a little bit, and it doesn't get up. And so, yeah, it's the 5 pins. It's like a mental block when you see that thing sitting right there in the middle of the lane, and you want to be a little careful, but not too careful. That's where you can't play it. You just got to let it rip.
Absolutely.
Easy said it back here in the booth.
Well, we got a 217 on 3 and 4. Not sure
a great
who that
start.
is. Yeah. Right now, Jimmy Cook just opened in the 9th. He's got 180 in the 9th. Boy, the single pin misses are just
killers.
They are, because
especially 2 games, boom, and you're out.
Well, you're trying to fill frames. So when you don't hit the head pin, or you hit the pocket and you leave a corner pin, you got to make those. It's so hard to hit the pocket anyway consistently. Now let's see how he can rebound. Now, okay, there's a break.
Shot. Made a decent shot, yeah.
You just have
to.
You have to get that out of your mind and move on to the next frame. Easier said than done sometimes. Because when you have a string like that, boy, your confidence, things are going well. You throw a great shot that 999 times out of 1,000 should go over, and you have that. That happen.
That's what keeps us honest here in bowling, for sure. Yeah, you're not making a good shot doesn't guarantee anything for you. The pins have other things in mind.
Yeah, we got another good game over here on
6-bagger.
9
strike
or 11 and 12.
Spare 6-bagger.
Yeah, some strings down here.
That's Ryan Spear, I believe, is on that string.
He'd like to save those if he gets in. He'd like to save those for match play. I'm sure.
You got to get in first, though.
But
that's the
right.
thing. Yeah, get all you can get so you can get in. Yeah. It's a very demanding condition, but it is playable. I mean, it's finding the right release, the right part of the lane to play, and if you make shots, you're going to be able to keep it in the pocket.
Ball selection was key. You wanted something kind of slower. I always felt, I bowled well. I just didn't. I didn't get any breaks, but I didn't just execute in key moments.
Yeah, it doesn't take much to make it look like you missed by a lot when you really didn't. You know what I mean? It's just it's demanding but playable.
My problem yesterday was my miss wasn't
right. Perfect shot. Ryan Spear, 7-bagger.
My miss wasn't right. It was a little left, which I would miss the head pin left, and that's where guys were missing in, and then they would get a Brooklyn strike or a chance at it. And that's but yeah, if you had the right ball in your hand and you could throw it speed-wise consistent, you had a good look.
Yeah, I think that looks like the more you can play up the lane with speed, you probably got a little better angle, but you got to keep that speed up and on line. Yeah, some guys are trying to get in a little deeper and give it more hand, and boy, you're really playing the angle on that when you're doing that.
Jimmy Cook with
good spare.
Good spare there.
Yeah.
3-6-10, never easy. He's going to try to make a ball change here in the 10th to see what he's got.
Yep.
There's some good scores on 11 and 12. You got Dwayne Burton with a chance at 200. Ryan Spear with a chance at 280. 215, 14 out there, 212 out there. Yeah, so there's some good scores on 11 and
I
12.
don't think anybody had 280 yesterday. I saw Zach.
278 was the highest.
Oh, was it 278?
Yeah.
Oh, very nice.
And that was Dwayne Burton. Dwayne Burton goes
Oh,
180,
wow.
155, 278 to get in.
I missed by one, making the first cut to into the match play.
But that's how this went.
Yep.
If you got on a good pair, you better hit it. Oh, 200 on the nose for Jimmy Cook. That's going to leave him at -8. But there's going to be some guys falter. So, again, I thought if you could shoot 400, anything over 400 was going to be, I think, anywhere you're all on in this list, you were going to get in.
Yeah, finishing up this game, then when you start that next game, when you have to make that move, that first and second frame are so important that you make a good shot. You just don't have the frames in this, two-game format to give up.
Oh, Joey with no luck this game.
Making a good shot.
Great
Another
shot.
good shot, actually, leaving this blowout 7 there.
Yeah, Swisher 7 there. Cole Moore has a question for you, Mike. He wants to know, did you go to college and then become a pro, or did you go pro right after finishing high school?
Right out of high school. Yeah, did not go to college. I went to the National Youth Championships that summer after high school, finished second, and then started the tour. That would have been the fall. I didn't bowl the tour until about the 8th week of the 1979 Winter Tour.
There you go, Cole. Thanks for the question.
Yes, thank you. And we've got another nice game here to the left of us on lane number 6, Corey Deck, shooting 248, striking out with the last, or he's shooting 248 now. So he's got a 5-bagger, just ready for the fill ball. Great finish. There's some good bailouts here. We're seeing a few guys coming around here striking out in the 9th and 10th, the bailout 200.
Good finish there. Solid 211 game, but I'm sure Joey's had to think that's going to be a lot more than that.
Could have been, another 30 easy. Corey Deck finishes with 246 on lane 6.
Yeah, he was -11. He's going to
he jumped right in there, yeah.
go right up to +35.
And here's Ryan Spear starting in the 10th frame. 280 clip. He takes 3 out in the 10th.
Well, if he shoots 280, he could pretty much just be on cruise control, because that'll put him almost 100 over.
That'd be nice. A nice feeling to have, yeah.
You got 70 pins, but, you're trying to get yourself seated.
Oh.
Still a 259 would be a solid game.
Looks like he caught that one a little earlier and broke loose on him, but he got a great break, breaking that baby split down, leaving the 3 only. So fill that in and take that huge 250 game, it looks like, with a spare. 250-ish.
Brian Walker with the 184 here in front of us. He was -7, so he's going to drop to -23. That's right. There's going to be a lot of movement here.
There sure is. I agree.
And Ryan Spear made the spare.
The 250s, 259 with the strike.
He's +13 coming in here. Good shot by Nathan Heichelback. Nathan was the one that Nate was the one that just squeezed in here at -15. He could shoot 189, which isn't going to kill you at any stretch, because if you could come back with a 210 or 220 game, again, I think it's going to be a minus number to get into this.
You know, even though everyone got practice, you know, to start this pair, I mean, there's still some change going on until everything settles down a bit. The oil gets to be moved to where it's going to be moved to, but starting the second game, this will be the second frame is going to be a little dicey unless you find the right spot and make the right shot.
Nate Heichelbeck comes in a little high, leaving the 6'10". If he spares this, he'll shoot 179. He's going to have some work to do in game number 2. Now Jordan Bryant here on lane 9. Opened in the 9th. He could strike out for 206. And he is sitting at +10. So this would be a good finish for him if he can get one here. Oh, comes in high. Oh, wait for it. Nope. 310. Spare here, 196. No harm done. 178 for Nate. He's going to have some work to do. He's -37 now. That's the miss. If you missed a little left, you can get it to go Brooklyn. And
yeah, that one started rolling a little earlier, but
ooh, Jordan Bryant missed both. You know, and I just never like to give any pins away when you know it's so close. 194 for Jordan. That's going to put him at +4. Boy, and you get one there at least. You just never know when that one pin's going to make a huge difference. And what a great break there for Gene Perez.
I mean, it already made a difference from yesterday. You can just tell all the scores so tight. So it's one's big.
Stephanie Bolson in here watching, saying rooting for her husband, Nate Heichelbeck. Well, you know, we're always rooting for Nate too. Great guy. And he's got a little work to do, Steph. But it can be done. It's not impossible by any stretch of the imagination. What's so great about this event, though, when you're watching all these guys bowl and girls, all the different places on the lane they're playing, different bowling balls. You got urethane, you got reactive shiny, you got dull. It's just different styles. It's really interesting how, how unique and different all these bowlers are, and playing on the lane as well.
That's why you never know what's going to happen with sometimes the conditioning, just because of all the different places everybody's playing. You know, it's going to change differently kind of every game. Depends who you're following, and looks like Ryan Spear came through with first frame strike.
Boy, and that makes you feel good, because when you go to a new pair, you just don't know what you're going to get, and you don't want it to be an open to start, and then you're pressing.
You want it to at least resemble what you had lined up on in the last one. And that's not always the case, whether it's here or anywhere you bowl. It's just the way bowling works.
Gene off to a double.
Yeah, he tripped out the 3-9 there on the first frame, so we got a little bit of a break, but turned it into a double, which is a great shot in the second frame. Well, it looks like even if you get in deep, some of the guys are trying to play deep in there. Just the ball doesn't really over push through there. So if you get around a little early, it breaks loose. So it's not exactly a consistent move in there unless you throw it consistently. And that's the key on no matter where you're playing on this. It looks like is you got to be consistent at the bottom of the swing and not overdo it, and you don't want it to break loose early.
Well, that was the thing is, as I said earlier, you're not going to throw perfect shot after perfect shot, especially on a pattern that's this demanding. But when you miss, can you get a break? And that's But when you are throwing it well, and you get, obviously it's a game of confidence, right? When you're throwing it well, you get comfortable, your arm swings loose, everything feels great. You can string some strikes. This pattern is not impossible.
Yeah, it's all a matter of that bottom of the swing being smooth through the bottom, so the ball doesn't jerk, get you that jerky reaction where it's kind of over and under a little bit. You want to get to that spot down the lane where it's still got room to make its move to the pocket.
And Shelby New found her way into the top 48 here on 5 and 6.
Riley Spear comes through with that strikes in the first and the second, so he looks like he's ready to go for another one.
Yeah, boy, there's a talented young family there.
Yeah.
His brother, two-handed from the other way,
Yeah.
left-handed. And, of course, Ryan is bowling college. Younger brother finishing up his high school career. And Shelby gets the spare there. Matt Sanders joined us in the booth last night for the final
squad. I saw a picture on Facebook, yeah.
And
he had a good U.S. Open. I'm sure it probably didn't finish the way he wanted to, but he had a great showing.
Yeah, and he wanted no part of bowling the squad last night. He said, I'm tired.
Yeah,
and
I bet.
You're physically and mentally exhausted at that point. But, yeah, I don't like to get into the lefty-righty debate because it's never healthy, but I'm sure the left-handers that made the cut into match play were disappointed because after the first round of match play, all the lefties dropped near the bottom half of, Matt goes from 2nd to 17th in the first 8 games, and they just couldn't shape the lane like the right-handers can. So it was a tough deal for him, but again, we talked about you have to be confident just by having a great week. You throw the ball well.
He bowled really well. Yeah, sure did.
Absolutely. It's got to give you a little bit of confidence as you move in.
Well,
we're early in the season.
He didn't give up either, and he kept fighting it all the way through, and that's what you got to do. You never know when things turn your way, and you got to be ready for it when it does.
Well, I see some strikes here. A couple of players with the first 3.
Yeah, that's a great move coming from moving from another pair. That's big.
Hopefully we'll get an updated score sheet here to give you standings after game number 1. That was the thing here. You just saw Trent miss the head pin again right on this right lane. If you just get it past a certain spot on the lane, Mike, there was some hang there, and
it's like you can see where you stand, and then you got to get that to that point. It's getting it to that point, and if sometimes your hand gets around too soon, it's not going to get to that point. So it's all a matter of being at that bottom of that swing and just being as smooth as you can to get it down the lane. Ryan Spear fills another frame, double spare, so he's on his way, it looks like.
He's on his way to the 17th seed, is what it looks like. And then if I'm the 16th seed, I'm like, oh boy, because definitely when you see a guy lined up like that. But again, a lot can happen in one game, as you are well aware, Mike.
Yeah, and there's going to be less players out there bowling, so the conditions kind of change a little bit differently.
And here we go. Ask and you shall receive, right? And again, Ryan Spear, 872 in first. Corey Deck in second right now with 835. Stephanie Stogsdill with a great game, 217.
Yeah.
She's in third with 819. Dwayne Burton in fourth with an 815. Gene Perez shoots 220 game one. He's at 813. Jacob Balser at 812. Scotty Kramer, 808. Jordan Bryant, 804. Billy Hibbard, 803. Bailey Maverick, 801. Joey Kraswonos at 800 on the nose. And rounding out the top 16 of this squad is Matt Bilyeu at -5. And that's kind of where I thought it would be, Mike. Somewhere -5 to -8, somewhere in that range. And obviously we have a whole nother game, and that can change. And when you look at the bottom, let's see, guys that probably have a realistic chance to get in there, you're probably looking at maybe Brian Walker at 777 and 22nd. You get past that, you're getting into that 30-40 pin range, and
Gap's pretty good. Yeah.
You got to really make something happen at that point. And Shelby New finds herself in that position after shooting a 164 her first game. She's -46. Bailey Maverick off to a great start here too, Mike, on 11 and 12. He's got the front three.
Yeah, there's been some great bowling so far. Yeah, there's been a lot of people who have made some good moves. There's 4 in a row, about 4 different places here, making that move to the second game. That's exciting to see. Some great bowling going on this morning, which could make that number move all sorts of places.
Well, here's the amazing thing. You have, let's see here, 8 pins separating 12th through 18th. Actually make that 20th. So you got 8 or 9 guys within 8 pins of one another, and that's the beauty of a pattern like this. Is if you just hang tight, you're just not really out of it unless if you can avoid the 160 and lower game. Yeah. But you're thinking, okay, you're plus 19. Like Stephanie is, but you're only 20 pins ahead of 20th place, and she's in third.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just goes to show you just how difficult it is.
Gene Perez with the front 5. Now Bailey Maverick lined up.
And as you know, if urethane's in play, or if he can manufacture it to be in play, Gene Perez is going to be a factor.
Those 1 games, though, makes it kind of neutralizes a lot of that. So it'd be kind of interesting, these 1-game matches.
That's right. If your pair is good, now Scotty Kramer, he finds himself, he was sitting in 7th at +8. And Mike, he's off to a real shaky start here. He's staring at a 4-6-10 split, and that would be his second open in 5 frames, no strikes. He's
no count either, so
he's in some trouble.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, you're getting 10 minutes of practice on your starting pair, and you're going to break him down in a certain way and get comfortable on the pair, and you're hoping that you see the same thing on the pair you go to.
Guys, there's a lot of strings. 9 and 10's got 2, 5's got 1. There's one farther down on maybe, was that 13 and 14, I see?
Front 5, yep. I agree.
That's why you're going to see a lot of movement.
Yeah,
if
this
those are
numbers
guys
game
that
will
are
be a ton.
Yeah, if those are guys that are out of the number right now and you
Oh.
could shoot a 240 game, you're going to get yourself right into it.
Yeah. It's not one of those where you're going to be able to just figure out, oh, I'm in or out, unless you shoot a really good one. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting here. Gene Perez, front 6.
Yeah, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys with at least 5, the first front 5.
Yeah,
a couple have the front 6.
Yeah,
I believe that's Jacob Wright down there on 13 and 14, if I saw that right. Is that right?
We'll move things around here and try to get shots of those guys when they're up. We got 2 front 5s here on 9 and 10.
Bailey Maverick, I think, just went front 6.
We got a remote camera available too. We have to, we'll go split camera.
Yeah, we got Billy Hibbard here, the first one to go on 9 and 10 with the front 5. Billy was in the number at +3. Devin Mazzullo, I believe, is the other one with the front 5. He's out of the number at -9. Oh, great break. Trip out the 4. Front 6 now for Billy Hibbard. And all of a sudden, did we put a different pattern out, right?
Didn't see this yesterday.
No, we didn't. But like Mike, you made a great point. Less traffic.
Yeah,
less traffic.
You have one less player on the pair, but
and these are the guys and girls who had it somewhat figured out yesterday. So they've
Gene,
already got a feel.
Gene wrapped the 7.
Yeah, Gene's streak ends at front 7, and now.
So you're not mixed in with people who really didn't have an idea how to play it. So these are the ones that are at least have an idea.
And now you got Devin Mazzullo here stepping up in the 6th frame. Bailey Maverick is stepping up in the 7th frame. Bailey's ball reaction is going to be way out of the corner of your frame here on 11. Right there he is. Oh, and he stops and holds it.
Practice ball. Practice approach.
Well, I couldn't do that,
I know.
Mike.
Not when the ball gets that far out in front of me. I'd be on my nose, I think.
My face is flat on the approach. We're calling a medic. That needs to hook. Oh, does he roll it? Nope. 2-pin. Streak ends at the front 5.
And don't let that spare get away from you.
Absolutely. Jacob Wright with another strike. He's got the front 7, Mike. We'll try to get our cameras moved around, and we'll try to get you these shots from each player that still has perfect games alive.
Ryan Spears got a couple doubles clean, so he's moving right along.
Bailey wraps a 10.
And Scotty Kramer, after that open in the 5th, finds a way to get a double. He's got some work to do. And a good cover there by Devin Mazzullo, former Purdue player.
So we're down to 2.
My USBC Nationals teammate.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we
very
bowled
nice.
together. Yeah. And
wow.
Now we're
Ryan Spear, he's got a 3-bagger working. He's clean with another double, so
he's
putting together another good game for
He's on a
for
240,
Ryan.
240 pace right now.
Yeah, he looks real good out there.
And Bailey Maverick with the spare. Now Billy Hibbard here from Indianapolis area. 7th frame, front 6. Oh, he gets the Brooklyn strike. That's the miss.
That's the one. Yeah, that's the one you got to get and just keep the string going with. Yeah.
That's where the miss had to be. If you can miss far enough in and you'd get the Brooklyn strike, you are in great shape. Jacob Wright now stepping up here on, I believe he's on, is he on no, he's on 15 and 16, right? We'll switch over here to that pair for his shot. That way it's the announcer's jinx.
Happens every time. That's why nobody's ever shot 300 in one of our streams.
Yeah. Was that on Anchorman? 60% of the time, it works every time. And Jacob was right in the number in 13th at -4, so he's looking well on his way to making the top 32. That looks inside, comes in high. There we go. 3-pin. So it's up to Billy Hibbert here to keep things alive for us. Hey, good morning, Mike. Appreciate you tuning in to the broadcast. Hope everything is going well for you and flying the friendly skies, I assume, still. So we appreciate all your great work there and keeping us safe as we travel from state to state across the country. And I absolutely, totally agree with you, Dalton. It's a great day. We have the Indiana Masters here this morning and early afternoons, and then later on you can watch possibly the best top 5 in PBA history to make a major at the U.S. Open at Woodland Bowl.
They're all very well experienced, so it shouldn't be a problem with that at all.
Now you're getting into the late stages of this game. You're going to start to see the pressure amp up a bunch. Guys that are close, you're trying to get any break and get anything working for you as best as you can. Every pin matters right now. Boy, and Shelby New had a little string going there of 3 in a row, and she needed them all here as she finds herself near the bottom of the standings. She has 234 out there, but right now that could only get her to -12, and I don't think that's going to be enough.
Stephanie Stogsdill there, she's shooting in the 150s. She can strike out in the 10th for 168.
And that could be...
She ran into a 4-9 a couple frames ago and just not many breaks this game.
168, that would put her at -13, and I'm not sure that's going to be enough. Again, it's just...
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of strikes out there at this game for sure.
Now Billy Hibbert here. Front 7. Oh,
pretty
great
ball.
shot.
Pretty ball, yep.
You know, that was the motion and lane play and ball choice that we saw yesterday. It was successful. Playing a little bit inside, something with a little bit of surface to really slow down that down lane reaction, round out the corner, and you're seeing Billy work it to perfection right here. I think if you're, here's the other thing too, is you're just trying to get into the top 32, Mike.
Yeah.
So for Billy, now, you know, you take a deep breath, you're in, right? You're already in the 250s, and you have to think to yourself, you know, now can I shoot 300, right?
Yep.
And you've already determined your fate as far as making it in. At this point, even for me, I just wanted to get in. I didn't really care where I was seated because I don't know if there's going to be a big difference between bowling the top seed or bowling the 13th seed, right?
Yeah, you just try to keep, you know, making good shots. And now if there's a point where you want to try something a little bit different, now's the time to do it. If you've got pins to carry with, but, you know, give you a little room to try that practice ball if you want, so you've got more knowledge. But, yeah, you just got to get there and keep the rhythm going.
Here's a big shot Mike, for Scotty Kramer here on lane 6. He still has 197 out there. He's +8 coming into this game. And he
keeps him ahead. Yeah, keeps him ahead of a lot of people if he can get there.
There's a great shot. He can ill afford an open frame right now. And he gets the 1 in the 9th. You know, if he doesn't get the first one, you're 177, you're -23. That would put him -15. And boy, you're
a lot of people around those numbers.
Exactly. I think if he gets the first one in the 10th, I think he'll get in.
Remember last year, guys, at the end of this round right here, we had a 3-way tie for that 16th,
I could see that.
Or that 32nd seed.
Could see that.
And the scores are close, just like.
And
like
that's the beauty of this pattern. And this, you know, they're so tight. Every pin counts. And
Stephanie Stogstill just got the first one in the 10th, so she needs the next 2 for 168 to give her any chance there.
And that would put her at 987, Mike, -13. And she
flushes
gets it
again. Yeah, beautiful shot.
Well, you never know.
Nope.
You never know.
Get all you can get while you can get it, and then see what happens.
Matt Wilhite with a 204, but that's not going to be enough. He was -42. Gene Perez comes in light, but he's already in the 230s. You know, I'm also thinking to myself, I want to get into the cut number, but boy, are you lucky to get a bowl Zach Weidman right out of the gate if you're 32nd? You'd like to avoid that if you can,
Take your
right?
chances, yeah.
Oh, she comes in light with the 210, or 27, excuse me, and 166. That is going to put her at 985, -15. Jacob Balser here with, oh, what a great break here on lane 7. Oh, boy. He's already in, but now you're trying to position yourself even better. And here's a huge shot. Oh, Jason Miller with a 2.810. And oh, that was lucky. Phil Bull. But I think he's out anyway. He had to have a big game. He was -38. Now here's a big shot for on lanes 5 and 6, Chad, if you want to switch over here real quick. Scotty Kramer here in the 10th frame. This could determine his fate here into match play. I think if he gets the first one, I think he's going to be in. Comes in light. Oh, fortunately, just the 3-pin, but now he's going to be at the mercy of what everyone else does. Gene Perez, 237. He's locked in the top 32.
Shelby New gets the first one at 10th, still shooting 221 with 2 more strikes.
Yeah, that's only going to get her to -25. Not enough. Billy Hibbard's run ends in the 9th frame with a 7-pin spare. Jacob Balser with a 245. All right, spare there for, wow. Scotty Kramer sends the 3-pin about halfway down the lane here in the middle of the lane. We're going to have somebody.
The right circumference not to fall off in the gutter. It's just roll around in front.
.267 for Bailey Maverick. He's really going to make a move. That's going to put him at +68. And he's got a chance, maybe, all depending upon what Ryan Spear does here. Ryan has 220, right? So he's not going to go around Ryan Spear. So Ryan Spear is going to be your 17th seed. Guessing right now, 237 for Gene Perez. Bailey Maverick's going to be your 18 seed. So Ryan Spear will take on Chris Seyfarth, and Trevor Parov will be bowling, I believe, Bailey Maverick. So going to be some great matches here, Mike. And again, so much excitement. When we get to match play, we'll be on. I'll be in the box or the booth with you for the first round or so, and then when we start to move around, we're going to get the our remote camera out, and we'll try to move from pair to pair and give you some action and some interviews from players throughout the matches. We'll have 2 rounds, and then winners will be out. They'll get a bye, and then the losers will bowl another round. And again, a lot of exciting bowling here coming up. We hope you stick around with us this afternoon. Billy Hibbert here with chance for 279. Boy, that's when you know things are good.
Yeah, back-to-back Brooklyns, yeah.
But when your miss is Brooklyn.
Well, I think, you're trying to play that angle to where you're trying to get it into the right spot down the lane, but that if you don't get it to there, then it's going to break loose. So he's got the good angle for getting crossovers there right at this point, and for hitting the pocket pretty good, obviously, since he's going to shoot 279 probably.
Here's an interesting thing. If Scotty Kramer strikes right here, he will tie Stephanie Stogsdill at -15 at 985. We talked about, could there be a tie? There very well could be. We don't know. Oh, there's a big shot.
Pin. Yeah, big pin left there.
And so Stephanie's going to stay ahead of Scotty. He's going to finish at 984. And that could loom large here. We'll stick around here until we find out the final tally. And we'll be a short break as we rerun the lanes. I believe, Chad, correct me if I'm wrong, we'll be back on the air sometime around noon or so for top 32 match play.
Yeah, it's scheduled at 11:30, but it never starts at 11:30. They've already started oiling the lane, so that's good. So, yeah, between 11:30 and noon, I'd say.
Let's be on the safe side and make it closer to 11:30 so no one's late.
If there's no tie, it might very well start at 11:30 because it's only 10:45 now.
Again, want to thank our sponsors for this broadcast here and the sponsors of the Indiana State USBC A1 Automotive. Keep your vehicle running like new. A1CarDoctors.com. RT Tour Experience. It's time for you to invest in your game. Locations in Pinheads, All-Star Bowl, and Muncie Lanes. Pinheads Entertainment Center. They have it all. Bowling, games, birthday parties, corporate events, and private suites. Go to bowlatpinheads.com. And Tim Mack's Victory Lane Pro Shops. Don't settle for anything less than victory. Locations inside Royal Penn, Woodland, Western, and Expo in Indianapolis. Again, want to thank those sponsors. And also want to thank the Indiana State USBC for allowing us to bring you this broadcast on Savage Bowling TV. And if you're interested in bowling events throughout the state of Indiana, like the Open Championships, the Women's Championships, and even the Indiana Queens and Senior Championships, go to indianastateusbc.org. All your entry forms are there. You can find out the dates, what bowling centers, and Mike, you're hosting one of those, the Indiana Open Championships, starting February 16th. You can go online, get your applications, and you can pay online for some of these scratch events and team events going on throughout the state of Indiana at indianastateusbc.org.
It's quiet.
Yeah.
Everybody's waiting to hear.
2 games have wrapped up. Scott Gilmore, Mike Albee here in the broadcast booth. Chad Lester, our production engineer here at Savage Bowling TV. And, again, we thank you for hanging out with us this afternoon. And how exciting of a day of bowling this is. You have the premier event in the state of Indiana, the Indiana Masters, right here going on at Championship Lanes. You go a little bit south, about 30 minutes, and you can watch the greatest in the world bowl, arguably the biggest event of the season, the U.S. Open at Woodland Bowl. That's not going to take place until about 4 o'clock this afternoon. We'll be almost done here. And maybe
it's going to be demanding.
Maybe the
demanding. Yep.
The best top 5 to ever participate in a major, 89 titles,
Yeah. Yeah.
28 majors amongst
Yeah.
these final 5.
Amazing.
And we got some guys and gals bowling in this event that have quite the resume as well.
Yeah. No, it's a great field, another sold-out field, so very exciting here at the Masters, and very demanding condition. But boy, if you make the shots, you can keep it in play, and there's good carry. It looks like we saw some good games the second game today. So these single games, double elimination, are going to be exciting.
Yeah, and again, it doesn't. The nice thing about this is you're bowling your opponent on the same pair. They're battling the same elements that you are. We're in an elimination format like we have at your house at the Indiana Scratch Classic. You're bowling the whole field.
Yeah.
This is a much different situation. You're bowling one person. You're just trying to beat them by a pin, right? It's survive and advance, however it is. And as a player, and as you know, Mike, bowling in a lot of these events, especially the ABC and USBC Masters, you want to stay in that winner's bracket as long as you can.
Yeah, once you lose that first match, then you're in the loser's bracket, and there are no breaks. So, when you're winner's bracket, there's going to be a couple breaks there where you get to sit out a round. So, very important. But it's you'll take it either way. As long as you can keep going to the end. But especially the big key is at the end when you've got a loser and somebody who hasn't lost yet, and they've got to beat the guy twice or the girl twice. So. That's an important spot to still be undefeated with at the end.
Well, we're not grading anything here, right? I mean, it doesn't. We're not judging any shots. It's just about beating your opponent, moving on to the next game, survive as long as you can, stay in that winner's bracket. You have probably half the number of games. If you were to win your first match comparing to losing your first match, and let's say both of those opponents go into the title match, one of them is going to bowl half the number of games as the other. And boy, when you're participating or trying to attack this lane pattern, it's demanding not only physically but mentally.
Yeah, no, it takes a lot out of you, and whoever wins this earns it, totally earns it, and it's exciting. It's also it's a good feather in your cap, I guess, to say that you're able to even get this far because it is a demanding condition. What, 400 was it 440 or 340?
Yeah,
440 entries. That is one heck of a lot of people to try to beat to be the last one standing.
In these events, you have multiple qualifying squads. You can re-enter if you didn't make it in your first squad. But what's so incredible about this event, 334 unique bowlers participated in this year's Indiana Masters. That's absolutely incredible.
It's really good, and not only that, even when there's a big decision, even that when you decide whether you need to bowl another round to try to get in, because we saw many people who were close and went ahead and bowled again, and then it actually helped them a little bit, or it didn't because the numbers were so close, and that's where we're at waiting on here. We may have some roll-offs. Who knows?
Well, there's a lot of guys and girls kind of holding their breath trying to find out what this number is.
Yeah.
Jeff Circle will make that announcement here shortly. We'll hang on the air for that so we can find out who of the 16 of the 32 bowlers that bowled in this semifinal round will advance to seed 17 through 32. We know basically 2 or 3. We know Ryan Spears probably going to be the 17th seed. Then it becomes between Billy Hibbard and probably Bailey Maverick for that 18th seed, and then Gene Perez is going to be right there too as well.
And the players you just mentioned, they were very good today. Very good today. So be interesting to see how the break holds up for them. And not only that, but you got the top 16 who have been sitting since yesterday evening to see what they're going to come out and bowl their practice. I'm sure they were here watching a little bit to kind of see what the lanes look like and give them a little bit of idea. But sometimes mentally it may be better to sit and wait. But it's the ones that got the bowl this morning may have a little bit better idea what's going on.
Well, and we'll use lanes 3 through all the way down, I believe, 30, 32, somewhere in that range. You're going to spread everybody out. You'll have a match or two, really basically a match on a pair. And it'll go fast. Mm-hmm. And as you know, when you're bowling a one-game match, that game does go by quick. So as a player, you have to make adjustments rather quickly. You can't take your time here.
And there'll be practice before their opening match, and then after that, that's it. No practice, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing.
That's very challenging.
Yeah, that's the thing that Jeff Circle does. You get to your next pair, and you're going. And in his mind, it speeds up the format, and It really makes it more fair as a whole because you're not really ready. And they kind of do that with the U.S. Open, too, as well.
The way they do
you
it, yeah.
practice off to another set of lanes. You come on, and maybe you might get one ball on each lane, but you're ready to go almost immediately.
That's why the guys and girls who are bowling the best, and they make those the best. If you make better shots on the first and second frame than anybody else, you're going to be way ahead of figuring that pair of lanes out. In a one-game match, you've only got 10, so if you waste one of the first two, you're really putting yourself behind the 8-ball there.
Yeah, we thank you again for watching the Indiana Masters here on Savage Bowling TV. It's really the Super Bowl of scratch bowling here in the state of Indiana. And here's Jeff Circle with our announcements for the top 16 bowlers out of this squad that will become seeds 17 through 32. Let's listen it in to Jeff.
The 2 games today. Here's our results. The leader was Ryan Spear with 1092. Second, Billy Hibbard, 1082. Third, Bailey Maverick, 1068. Fourth, Jacob Balzer, 1057. Fifth, Jacob Wright, 1050. Sixth, Gene Perez, 1050. Seventh, Devin Mazzillo, 1036. Eighth, Dwayne Burton, 1018. Ninth, Colton Lilly, 1014. 10th, Corey Deck, 1004. 11th, Jason Stillwell, 992. 12th, there's a tie, Jimmy Cook and Bryant Jordan at 990. Bryant Jordan is the higher seed based on the qualifying block. 14th, Joey Criswanos at 986. 15th and 16th, I have a tie. Stephanie Stocksdale and Cameron Bollinger. Stephanie is the higher seed based on the higher qualifying block. There is no other ties as far as getting into the field. Give me a few minutes, let me get those sheets ready. I will call all the finalists in so we can go over the sheet that they're using today. 17 through 32, give us about 10 minutes and we'll have your checks.
Well, there you have it, Mike. We talked about the fill balls of each opponent here. Stephanie got just enough at minus 15, Stephanie Stocksdale. She is the number at minus 15. Scotty Kramer failed to get a strike in the fill ball, gets 9, misses it by 1 pin. You're cut minus 15 this afternoon to the top 32 of match play. And, again, we talk about it. 1 or 2 pins here and there, so critical.
Yeah, it's very disappointing, I'm sure, for him. But he did get that first one there to give him in play. So you always got to look for the positive. But yeah, those ones will wear on you for a little bit.
Well, and the thing about it that makes it so tough is you got to wait a whole another year to
as far as this tournament.
Exactly. to fix that next year. But still a great weekend for Scotty Kramer. Comes up 1 pin short.
This squad bowled well.
Yeah. And a lot of movement. You had guys shooting plus 90, and then you had them all the way down at at a minus number. So that just shows you how tough they are, and every pin counts. But right now we're going to take a timeout, and we'll come back with the match play portion of the Indiana Masters here on Savage Bowling TV. Join us at 11:30 for match play. Thanks for watching Indiana Masters here on Savage Bowling TV.